truth is unclear. And the way of thinking, either positive or negative, is just a means to making these unclear truths a little less unclear. That's basically the point. Martin Seligman once said that I would be a realist if realism was not influenced by expectations. When your expectations influence reality, realism sucks. Consider an example. You're traveling by an aeroplane. It's a 2-hour flight. The weather is inclement and stormy, and you can't really see anything beyond your aeroplane window. And suddenly the plane starts to throttle and it's all turbulent. What do? Either A, you can think that you are going to die and start praying to the gods that they save you, or B, you can believe in the engineers who developed the plane and believe that this plane can handle the inclement weather. What you really think does not affect the outcome, does it? I mean, either you think that God will save you or you'll die, or either you think that you are going to save planet. Your thoughts do not affect the outcome. Let's say the outcome was that you landed safely. The person who prayed will start to think, will thank God for saving his life along with the other passengers, and the other one who believed in the engineer will thank the engineer for creating a good aeroplane that could pass through that turbulent weather. Same outcome, two different perceived realities. Now that we have established that realities can be perceived and are indeed relative, the question begs, how should we perceive it? Do we perceive it positively through optimism, or do we perceive it negatively through a bit of pessimism? The answer is, it depends. In the spectrum of optimism and pessimism, these two extremes, most of us lie somewhere in the between. None of us are truly, pervasively, universally an optimist, and none of us are truly, universally, and pervasively a pessimist. But we are often told, and this has been ingrained to us, that we should divide, we should diverge, we should subdue our negative thoughts. We should always be thinking positively, and positive thinking is the only means to combat all of life's problems. That is, we are often told. I am here to present the contrary. First of all, think decision making. Some of us are business students, some of us are working. When a group makes a decision, we always want someone that shows gaping flaws in our plans, or at least your manager or your boss does. He's often known as the devil's advocate. His only job is to find out what is basically wrong with your so good plan. No matter how good it is, his job is to find flaws in it. Why? Because thinking negatively will make your plan even more impeccable. Think accounting. Mr. T.M. Puspa is an accountant here. When you have two sets of revenues or expenses, that is, either one of them could be true, we always choose lesser of the revenue and more of the expenses. Why? Because it is always safer to understate the income than overstate it. Because you don't want false hope, let's say, or more than what's needed of the sugar or the better truth instead of the bitter truth. But thinking negative makes you ground to a reason. It does not let you float away with mere optimism or mere hope. Now, second point to consider is that this is only a personal opinion in this case. I always think that pessimism is the best way to view society. In a group, you may think, I think I am an optimist at an individual level and a pessimist at a group level. Why? Because you don't really see utopia anywhere, in any point in history. When you read the history books, when you read today's newspaper, you always see some problems, some prevailing problems that pervade your society. And thinking negatively makes you, or it buffers you to that reality. It lets the idea sink in that negative things are out there and probably we should indeed try to combat them, but we'll probably not be able to do so. So pessimism, I think, is the best lens to view society. And in another case, giving feedbacks. We don't want to give negative feedbacks to people because we feel that they are not likely to accept it, or they will make themselves more defensive. But Harvard Business Review did a survey and found out that the sandwich method of giving feedbacks is less effective than saying outright that you have done this wrong. Why? Because people who want to do better will take your negative criticisms more positively, even though they are negative, and act upon them. That's why probably those of us who think that they want to do something good in whatever they are doing, we should probably tell them that, dude, you suck at it, try to do better. Being straightforward can actually help. And lastly, again, this is a survey of Harvard Business Review, and they found out that leaders who are more successful, who have been into more sustainable business, are successful. It was a psychological survey because, not because they think positively, but because they think very negative thoughts and cling on to them. Why do they cling on to them? Because they don't want to make their negative thoughts a reality. And we think that it is perhaps true that thinking is the first step of materializing your thoughts. Perhaps thinking is also the first step of not letting your thoughts materialize. Ladies and gentlemen, don't be afraid to think negatively. Think negatively, use them in a positive manner. Back to you.